Got a box of ye! Greetings and welcome back to SmartWatchTix.com. Inside this all-black box, well, it's been 3 years since we saw the prototype of this one. Actually, we reviewed it here on SmartWatchTix.com of a blood pressure reading smartwatch. I know we've heard that. Almost all of them try to do it nowadays, right? But this was revolutionary because it actually is a cuff blood pressure reading unit, not using diodes or fancy flashing lights or things, but actually using what they call bladders to do your blood pressure measurement. This is the latest revision of what we looked at as the initial BP Doctor Pro. This is called BP Doctor Med. Before we get into it, let me tell you where you can get both of them, and then we'll go into how they work. The company, YAG Yi Technology, is offering these directly from their website. The BP Doctor Pro, which uses a single bladder here to measure your blood pressure. And because of that, the diodes in the back of the watch are open, so it can do things like heart rate and heart rate variability and other kind of stuff. But they found over the last 3 years that they wanted to get the accuracy of the blood pressure a bit higher. So, in order to do that, they came out with the BP Doctor Med. Now, the Pro is running about $200, but of course, we got discounts for you off of that price. About $50 more, 60. The BP Doctor Med integrates 2 different bladders in here. So it's getting your arm compressed more like an arm cuff would, but at your wrist. And in doing that, it's improving the overall accuracy of the blood pressure reading. And we'll have coupon discounts on that for you too. So basically, the Med series of these BP Doctor smartwatches has more accurate blood pressure reading within plus or minus 5 units. And I'll show you some actual results I've received doing multiple tests with the cuff and in comparison with an arm unit. Dual tracking blood pressure in exercise, long-lasting battery up to 7 days in this. Lighter body, they've made it lighter by shifting that stuff around. And it's patented inflatable dual cuff technology compatible with both iPhone and Android. And this time in 2 different colors, gold and silver. Now, the Med itself has this patented technology in it, which is what's evolved over the last 3 years. And it also can do sleep quality and workout analysis too. And of course, fully equipped digital assistant in the tethering app. Now the Pro, the previous one, and I've got a review video, full extensive one up on this one. Highly recommend, if you're interested in this technology, you definitely watch that one because I cover a lot more in there on the initial setup. This is going to take it from there to the new advanced features in the Med version. But the Pro series has a 24/7 blood pressure monitoring. By the way, the Med does that too. This, unlike the Med, though, it will track your blood oxygen, heart rate, and heart rate variability. That's a big difference. This is primarily highly accurate blood pressure. This one does blood pressure reading and also can do these things because the second bladder covers the back of the watch, and that's where the diodes are in the Pro version to be able to do, this kind of analysis. But it will do sports and sleep analysis just like the Med. It has its own patented air cuff, the initial one, and health visualization of your data on the app. Again, compatible with Android and iPhone. And you can share the information with your family, which you can also do in the Med. Let's dive deeper. We basically took off the cover on here. There's no cover to take off on the back. Like I said, it's covered with a bladder. You have 2 buttons on the side. The second bladder runs along the non-removable arm over here, and then this one just goes around to put it on. Deeper inside the box, you find not 1, but actually 2 charging units. Now, you get 7 days of power out of these things, even though you got a motor and a pump and everything going on in there to do your blood pressure, you still have good lifetime on it. Each of these charging docks basically have pins in both corners, so it's universal. You can put it on either way. When you slap it on the watch like that and clip it, those pins are making contact somewhere here. There they are. The little pins are right there. So it'll always have one set of the pins making contact there. And you just simply plug it into a USB, and you even get 2 wires to do that, USB-C connection, and you're good to go. And the other unit like this is down there too. So one at work, one at home, wherever you are. And then finally there's an overall user's manual to this one. The Smartwatch Blood Pressure Monitor Instruction Manual. In English, jumps in with some basic info, the contents, product overview. Here's where you can clearly see the different bladder technology going on here, 2 different ones, and this one is attached to the band so that it'll hug your wrist. Now it's important that you get the right size for your measurement, and they even include in here, I believe, a little paper thing that looks like this that allows you to measure your wrist diameter. We talk about that in the other video and show you how to do it. You want to make sure that your wrist is between the limits of 14 to 20 centimeters. Beyond that or below that, the bladders won't line up properly to give you an accurate blood pressure reading. But here's your basic specifications for the unit. It's got a little bit of flash memory. It'll hold several of your readings before transferring it over to your phone via Bluetooth. You've got pulse rate from 40 to 180 is picked up with this one as well. It's got a 1.61 inch AMOLED screen, really beautiful, 320 by 360 resolution. Bit more. I know you want to see it, so I'm just going to show you the specs here. You can freeze frame it if you need to. IP22, that means really don't get it wet, guys, okay? It's not waterproof to take your blood pressure underwater or anything like that, or while you're in a hot sauna. No. More stuff on safety precautions and so forth, and then it gets basically into a description of hypertension and blood pressure and whatnot, how blood pressure is measured. It's a good manual overall, so highly recommend you take time to look through this when you get yours. Let's play with it. Okay, here it is. Let's give this one a whirl. You got 2 buttons on the side. We press and hold the top button now. They're recessed underneath the edge of the bezel, so they're kind of down there a little bit. You get their boot up logo, and in a moment it lands on its opening watch face. It's got a few really nice faces in here. And because it's an AMOLED screen, it also has always on capability, so you can set the watch to never time out if you want to. And it's got decent battery in here that lasts quite a long time, so whether you're taking blood pressure or not, that's a nice feature. What I'm going to do for you before I put it on is to do an error reading. I'm going to show you the technology and the bladders before actually wearing it. I'm going to do that by pressing the bottom button, getting to my app drawer, tapping the middle button, which shows me my last reading that I took, and hitting the start button. Now there's a way you're supposed to wear it like this, and it will begin filling the bladders with air, and you can see them starting to move now like an accordion. This one's filling up this way, and then air comes through this channel and fills up this bladder here too. Now we might get an air, looks like we did, and it popped out of it already. But you can get the concept that this is, you see that? It's spongy kind. So it'll actually fill up, and this one will fill up to support it. And that gives the needed information or the needed pressure around your whole wrist in order to get that subtle reading of the blood pressure. So bottom line is, how well does it work, right? Well, to do the comparison test to see, I pulled out the CheckMe blood pressure cuff recording unit that we've already reviewed this as well. I'll have a link in the show notes if you want a really nice cuff blood pressure unit. It's so easy. You just slide it over your arm with the tube coming down. I'm going to do that for you. Pop it on here. You bring it up with that forward-facing side and the tube coming down right along the inside here, and you want it far enough up that it's going to give you a good reading. Then all you got to do is tap this button. Now it has audio in this, but I've shut the audio off. It tells you, as it's going along what it's doing. I'm supposed to have my arm up by my heart. It's down a little bit low right now. So we may get an error or we'll get an off reading, but I just want to show you how this is working. If you can see the cup, it's expanding too. So air is coming in from a pump inside here to the cuff. You've done this at the doctor's office, causing it to squeeze down. As the pressure goes up and up and up, the cuff gets tighter. You may even start to feel the blood popping through your fingers. If you look at them, you might see them jumping a little bit like that. I'm exaggerating. And then it releases and lets the pressure out. And it gives you a reading. And yes, it's very high because I'm too low below my heart, which is another important thing, whether it's a cuff on your arm or in the watch on your wrist. You want the device at heart level when you're taking a blood pressure reading. If it's too low, like I just did there, you'll have a very high heart rate or heartbeat blood pressure reading. If you hold it up over your head, it'll be very low because it's going to be the blood's not having to pump extra hard to get up there, so the pressure's lighter. That doesn't work either way. So have it at heart level, which is why I'm going to show you my results rather than actually try to do this and get it at the right level for you. This is where I begin. You press the button, you see the numbers change, it fills the bladder, it gets all the way up, it stops, and it gives you a reading. This is a set of readings I took with the arm unit, right, the Check Me arm unit, and this new cuff unit of the BP Dr. Med. Take a look at them. It's generally a good idea to do 3 readings about 5 minutes apart and then make your assumption about what your actual reading is from that. The arm gives me about 115 to 132, pretty broad range actually. The cuff is giving me much closer, 118, 24, 28. So if you look at these, there's 127, 124, 128. It looks like I'm hovering around about 125, roughly. And then the diastolic numbers we don't really often worry about. We're kind of gauging it by the high numbers. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, doctors and medical professionals. I'm a layperson. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, that I don't know any more than you guys that are, going to the doctor and having your blood pressure read there. But that's my understanding. We're always looking, are you around 120, 130, 140, 60? What's that first number? Here, you can see I'm pretty darn close if you kind of eliminate the ones that are a little too off. And that makes a good reading. It's definitely within plus or minus 5% of each other. Another day, another reading. Yeah, I was on caffeine and working out and had high blood pressure at this particular time in the afternoon. 137, 38, 43. Nice little cluster right there. 128, 136, 136. Looks like that 128 may have been an aberration. That 143 may have been a little high, but we're running right around 136, 137 between the two. I mean, almost spot on. It's practically impossible in a land of optimistic projections to get a blood pressure reading the same each time, because the pressure's changing as it's reading it, and your blood pressure itself is changing as it goes along. Third, final one I'm just going to show you. This was this morning, waking up, nice and calm. 116, 114, all hovering very close to the same place, even the second number. Cuff, little bit higher, 116 to 119, and then one that's a little bit more, 125. Still within about 5 beats. If it's 5% on 100, right, 100 would be between 95 and 105. Or in this case, say 115 would be between 110 and 120, right? About 5%-ish. So 115 to 119 is within that 5% range that they're claiming is the accuracy for this device. So obviously, if you're still watching, you must be interested in this. So what else can the thing do? I've talked a lot about the blood pressure, which is its stake to claim. But you've got all kinds of controls and other things in here. I swipe down, you have ability to change the brightness. It gets really, really bright. AMOLED screen, outdoors, it's great. Turn on and off Bluetooth, and you got the toggling for vibration on or off here. Your overall settings, the power savings mode, alarms, and do not disturb are in here as well. When you go into settings, here's where you get into display. You can set your screensaver. That's when it times out from the watch face or wherever it is, from 5 to 20 seconds if you want to. Unless, of course, you have it in always on mode, then it won't turn off. You have always on mode, and you also have the raise your wrist to see the time, to wake it up. And you can turn that on. When you do, it immediately turns always off on because it wouldn't work with it on, right? And you have the set schedule from 7 p.m. to midnight. After midnight, it's not going to turn on, presuming you're going to be asleep. Not changeable from what I can find, so it doesn't work well for those of you who work at night, and are sleeping during the day. I'm going to run it in always on for now. Hit back from the display. We've got the different languages that are supported. Not very many, actually. You can reset the watch. You can change your units for distance, miles or kilometers, your temperature, Fahrenheit for centigrade for the weather, because it does do a weather report, and your measurement for your blood pressure are selectable directly from the watch itself. And then about shows you that we are running the Y Watch, is what it's officially called when you're looking for it on Bluetooth. And that's it for settings. Let's go around here. You got alarms you can set up on this basic alarm clock. You've got a look at your calories, your workout information, and the walking and basis levels of calories burned. So it does a little bit of analysis of your caloric work. That's that's his last night's sleep time. Now, I've noticed on this thing, unfortunately, it's, you got to get up and go to the bathroom or something middle of the night. You come back to bed. This says you're done. From midnight to 3:57, but I slept till almost 7 in the morning. The night before it was similar. It's not doing really good on catching a full night's sleep. It will catch nicely and show you the chart with light, deep, and awake times during the time that it feels you're asleep. But it's kind of not forgiving of you having to get up in the middle of the night. It sees that as the end of the event, and it closes it off. So I'm seeing my sleep times being pretty short in comparison. We went into here. This is, of course, all of your blood pressure readings. If I go down here, I can hit my record, and you'll see the record of the last sets of blood pressure readings and when they were taken. And, of course, you can go over to the app for more details where all of your records are located. Then what do we got here? Your workout activity. You have running, walking, and indoor running. Very limited on this. It's not really a workout watch. It's a blood pressure accurate reading watch device. And these are little ancillary things that you've got as well. I come over here and it's giving me the weather and forecast in my area, which it's showing right on the screen, Fahrenheit or centigrade. It's selectable, of course. And then we're back over here into the settings, which we already went through. So that happens. And this just turns it on and off, the top button. That happens when we slide down and we go into settings there, or when we press the button and go into settings there. And I think that's just about it. If I press and hold the top button, nothing really happens. Goes off. If I press and hold the bottom button and press it for a long time, long time, it'll go back over here to the page where we can do our blood pressure and bypass going directly into it through there. The tethering app now for both BP Doctor Pro and Med watches is the BP Doctor Plus in the Google Play Store. That's the icon you look for to download it. When you install it and open it, it'll load up and come right into your opening health tab on here. And this is where it's expressing all of the data that it's collected. It's going to be paired and synced once you get that all set up. And it'll show you a few things: your running blood pressure, your overall steps, last night's sleep time, calories, and workouts. You can edit the cards and add a few other things, but for the BP Doctor Med, these are the ones that work. The other ones are there for supporting the Pro version. Let's jump into here. This gives you kind of a scatter diagram at particular times when these measurements were taken by hour, and they're individual discrete measurements on here. And you basically can slide along, I guess, and line up on them and see the specific ones taken against the chart, day, month, week, year. Your latest one and your average are here. And then this is a spread out chart without measurements, but just to give you kind of a guideline on whether your pressure is going up or down. Last night's sleep. We talked a little bit about this. Here you go. There's a chart showing deep, light, and awake. This is kind of odd right here. Not sure what's happening. Oh, I guess that's just a highlight color for where you are. It shows you the amount of time and the range when you were in these different places. But again, it's really short. I definitely had a little more than 3 hours of sleep last night, but it only recorded that little segment of it, not the full night. So an addition to this, I think, would be helpful is if it treats getting up out of bed for 10, 15 minutes as maybe a continuation of a night's full-length sleep, especially if it's only giving you credit for just a short amount of time. Nonetheless, here you go. You can switch with the calendar back to previous days. Here's a day before. Again, short sleep. Here's way back here. And it's giving you those summaries. But they're all available once you get it transferred to the app. Now, steps. This is basically step count per hour with a very big scale, expecting you to do over 3,000 steps every hour. Not sure about that and why it doesn't scale to present it as a little bit better motivational information, if nothing else. Hey, I get 1,000 steps in an hour. That's nice. But this is, I guess, set for those hardcore people that are constantly running a marathon. Day, week, year available on this one. Calories, again, an estimation of your total calories burned. There's a chart for that. And then your workouts, if you have any, it will show you the date. Notice this is when I played with this before, way back in the earlier watch, but it still keeps track of that data. Here's a little one I did for about 5 minutes or so, was it? And it shows you your pace and the number of steps. Now, yards, and then that'll switch into longer measurements. And it shows you the device that you did it on as well down there. That's all in here in the sports section. And then family health is basically where you can share this with your family, add other family members, and you can kind of keep track of what each of you are doing. That's supported on both the Pro and the Med version. And that's this first tab. Go over to the device, and now you get your watch with some frequently asked questions, basic research information on blood pressure, the Pro and the Med in more detail if you want to look into those or if you haven't bought one yet. And then you go into the current device. This is a picture of it. It tells you it's connected with the power level, battery level. You've got different dials. We'll go into that in a minute. Then there's some overall guidance. Now you tap here, it flips over to a basic website, and you can tap into how you do blood pressure measurements, how to wear the watch, Bluetooth problems. Really good overall tutorial. Make sure you're getting the best out of your device. This is where you can set up notifications that'll be sent from your phone to the watch, alarms, synchronizing, make sure all your stuff is updated. Over-the-air update, you definitely want to check that. And it already is on the latest version. Mine was needing an update when I got it, so yours probably will too. There's a font upgrade. I haven't tried that yet, but when you go in here, it talks about upgrading. It's going to take a long time, and it'll upgrade the fonts. Something fun to play with. Running in the background, and your basic device info is down here. So that's all about the device, except for the dials. These are separate dials that you can install from the store and bring over to the watch. It takes quite a while to install them. I like this one because it's giving you your blood pressure and pulse, your most recent one, together with the time. A little interesting note on these digital ones. Some of them are set in 24-hour mode and some in 12-hour mode with AM and PM, and they're not changeable that I can find anywhere. It's like hardcore wired into the digital design itself. But that's the way it is, and most of these, in fact, all of them are digital. That's not even an analog. They're all digital. Go to my dial. These are the ones that are stock that come with it, plus the one that I had installed. This is the standard one that it comes with that looks really nice. It's just a flat analog watch face, but you have these other ones as well, and you can switch to them from the app now. I have not found a way, and you cannot press and hold on the watch face and bring up the ability to change the faces. So if you're frustrated, you can't change the faces, do it from the app, at least for the BP Dr. Med version of the watch. Okay, that's it for all of this. Lastly is the profile, where you set your stuff up, add your family members, set your goals, personal information, and just an overview of what the blood pressure categories are, so that you have that for overall reference. And that's the app. So bottom line, for those of you who need to really take your blood pressure regularly, and you're looking for an alternative to a fancy cuff thing that you've got to wear with some sort of an instrument you hold, and you want to get into the wrist-borne version of that technology, this is probably the closest you're going to get to something that's medical grade. It is been worked out. I'm very sweaty here. It's hot today. It's been worked out to incorporate two different bladder systems, or one bladder with a connection to it. Anyway, two places on your wrist that it squeezes down to give you what appears to be highly accurate blood pressure information, at least when compared with your traditional arm cuff type devices. It does a few other little goodies, gives you some sleep time, some exercise time. You can set some alarms, those kind of things, but its primary stake to claim is going to be its blood pressure reading. If you're looking for that in a device like this and you want the best accuracy possible, then definitely look into the BP Doctor Pro upgrade to the BP Doctor Med. This is claiming plus or minus 5 units of blood pressure accuracy, and it's bearing that out pretty well with the calibrated arm cuff that I've been testing it with. If you'd like to have a good blood pressure reading device, and you also want blood oxygen and heart rate variability, Lorenz scatter diagrams even, then the BP Doctor Pro might be up your alley. It's about $200. Of course, we got discounts for you. Check the show notes. We got a link there, and hopefully a coupon discount that you can apply at checkout to bring the price way down from this. So the simpler one does blood pressure. The accuracy may not be quite as good, but take several readings, compare it with your calibrated cuff, and you can see how close it's getting. If, again, you want the top of the line, it's the new BP Doctor Med. After 3 years of research and fine-tuning, they've got this cuff measuring concept down to a fine art. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and wow, it's amazing what they're able to do in watches these days. We'll see you again soon.